Hi friends! My name is Angie and in this video we are going to be knitting. We are going to be knitting a lot. In fact, we are going to see how much we actually knit in a given week. It's kind of like one of those like 24-hour reading challenge, but it only counts when you're actually reading challenge. But with knitting, and I will say, and I will credit, I actually got this video idea from Paula, from Aver Paula, and we actually started the timer last night. I planned on doing an intro yesterday and I just like lost sense of time and I just didn't do it. So last night I knit for about an hour, and in that hour I made a lot of progress on my scoodie. This is going to be a very Aver Paula heavy video because we are potentially going to be making many a scoodie. If you're unaware, Paula made the scoodie pattern, and it is a pattern that I've admired for so long. Like every single time they shared like another test scoodie, I was like, I cannot wait until I get my hands on this. And I have plans to make like 3 to 4 different scoodies in the course of this winter. So this is the first one, and last night I finished this little leg and started the second leg. And this scoodie is actually not for me. This is actually going to be for my mother because she suffers from ear infections a lot and very easily. And so when she goes out in the winter, she needs to like protect this whole area. And so I thought this would be the perfect solution because it's a hood and a scarf. It's a scoodie, and so it's going to keep her head warm, protect her ears, and then you can wrap it around your neck as a scarf, and I think that'll be perfect. And this scoodie I'm making in the medium length in bulky yarn, and I actually think I'm going to be doing the same for all of the other scoodies that I make. So where was I going with this? In this vlog we're making scoodie. In this vlog we're working on Ringo top. In this vlog we could also potentially start several more projects. And if we're not starting a whole new project, we could potentially like make swatches for projects that we want to start in the near future. And I've been infected by the sailor slipper hype. I have a bag of super chunky scrap yarn. I've had no idea what to do with it for the longest time, and I think the sailor slippers is gonna solve that issue for me. I've also never felted before, so like that'll be exciting and new. Don't know if it's gonna happen in this video. It might be its own video in its own right, but those are all of the little like touch points in my brain. Those are all of the little projects that are like percolating and rotating in this noggin. It is Christmas Eve, and I'm so happy to tell you that we finished the scoodie right on time. I actually like stayed up way later than I usually do so that I could wrap this up and so that I could block it as I planned. So it's still a little damp right now. I'm not going to try it on, but it's looking really good. I made sure to like stretch the top part so that there's like a little bit more real estate, a little bit more coverage when it's actually being worn, but really happy about that. And I also made a swatch for my loopy striped cardigan, which I'm not feeling too happy about. It's looking a little like bare. It's looking a little see-through in a way that I'm not totally on board with, and that's because this pattern calls for errand weight yarn, and like the darker color is the Noro Uchiwa, and that is apparently errand weight, but it's like very like mixed errand weight. Like some parts are a lot thinner than others, so I think that's affecting my swatch. And also the white yarn is actually sport weight, and so it's actually a lot thinner, and so it's like very see-through. Are you seeing that? If I'm making a wool sweater, I want it to be like compact. I want it to be like warm. So I'm not super vibing with this just yet. So I think the plan for today is I'm gonna make the same swatch but hold the white yarn double and see if that makes a difference in how I feel about this whole thing. Otherwise, if I can't figure this out, that cardigan is just going to be like put on the back burner until I find yarn that I actually want to work with. And we might start our second scoodie, but most importantly, I want to make some progress on my Ringo top. I feel like I've neglected her for the past couple of weeks, and like that's not right either. Also, just BT dubs, I should have mentioned this in the beginning of this update. We're on hour 3. I've been watching the Gilmore Girls like a lot recently while I'm working on my knitting, and it's not necessarily because I like that show. I don't really have a lot of nostalgia tied to it, but it's just like one of the perfect knitting shows. Like, I can't explain it, and I hate to support like the idea of like shows that are created to do something else while watching them, because like that has become a real problem, especially on Netflix in the very recent past. But the Gilmore Girls is not from the very recent past. It's actually from the semi-far past. So I don't know if it actually falls under that category, but it does. It is how I'm using it currently. So I'm currently on season 2. Not much to say. Lorelai like really stinks. I really don't like how she is as a mother. Like, I know the whole vibe of the show is like they're best friends, their relationship is different, but like she really picks and chooses the moments where she wants to be friend and where she wants to be mother. And like it's so like black or white for her that if this was a real situation, this must be so jarring as a child to be in a situation like this, because like you don't know who you're gonna get. So it's been a real experience watching this as an adult. They're kind of like my little bugs. I'm so fascinated by all of these weird like toxic horrible little dynamics. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's going to consume even more of my knitting time, because I like to watch something while I knit. If I was feeling a little intellectual, I would start an audiobook, but I haven't been vibing with audiobooks for a very long time. They're just like not grabbing my attention in the way that they used to, and I just don't like the feeling of listening to an audiobook. I don't think that speaks to like a criticism to different like mediums and different types of reading. I think that just speaks more to like my experience with reading and like intentionally finding time to slow down and to like sit with a text and to like, you know, do the whole like physicality of reading, as opposed to just like going through an audiobook at like 3 times speed. But like no judgment for people who do that. That's just not me. That just can't be me, at least in this year, and I think moving forward. But this isn't a reading vlog. I don't know why I started talking about that. We're gonna start working on this. I'm here for my hourly check-in, and there you are too, and look at us together. But we're about 4 hours and 18 minutes into this. In the first 20 to 30 minutes of our knitting session, I finished my second swatch. So this is them side by side comparison. Like obviously the one held double is like much larger, and honestly I think it looks better. That just might be psychological. Like in my brain, I'm like, sweater need to be thick, but I haven't measured either of them yet. I don't know which one is closer to gauge. I reckon it's gonna be the thicker one because the pattern calls for a thicker yarn, but I'm gonna let both of these continue to block and then I'll measure them tomorrow. And then I know I said that I was gonna start working on my Ringo top again, and I think I will now moving forward, but I couldn't help it. I had to start a new scoodie. And especially using this yarn, it's so delicious and soft and squishy. I just straight up couldn't help it. And so I did the top part of the scoodie, and now I'm working on the sides. And what I like about this step of the scoodie is that it's like kind of mindless. Like you just have to keep going and stocking it until you reach about 21 centimeters. It's kind of mindless in the perfect way. Whereas like the Ringo top, I have to follow a cable chart and or a stripy swatch. I have to be like more aware of my tension, especially when switching colors and like whatever. And like this, you can just go. And it looks so good. And if you're curious, I am using Wool and the Gang's Al Pacino Merino for this project. I just picked this up at my local yarn store. And I have no regrets because again, so soft, so squish, and so chunky that this is like coming up really quickly. So if I really wanted to dedicate myself to the scoodie, I feel like I could finish the head today. But again, I really want to get some progress done on my Ringo top. So I guess it just depends on which wolf in my brain is stronger. I realize that this lighting isn't the most flattering for me, and I do in fact acknowledge that I do look a little bit like a donut today, but it is the day after Christmas, and I didn't update you at all throughout the holiday, as is my right, but I did just want to jump on here and give a knitting update and also give a nephew update because
there's no one like Henry. No. I met him for 10 minutes and he's already he's already a great guy. He's a stand-up citizen. I love him. I love him.
And as much as I love that little guy, there is a little part of me that recognizes the irony, the sitcom-esque life that I lead. Because for context, I am the youngest in my generation. I was the youngest and the baby of the family for a very long time, which means that it was very hard for me to strip away the baby title off of my name. So like now that I'm 30, I like finally did it. There's no way around it. I'm old as fuck. And yet, with the presence of this 4-year-old, I have been demoted back to the kids' table. Not necessarily because I've been demoted of my title as adult, but rather because this 4-year-old has promoted me to the title of bestie. And so what I'm trying to say is I spent my entire life fighting tooth and nail to get invited to the adult table. And now that I was there, and now that they were like, Angie, do you want to play a game of poker? Are you joining us for this game of dominoes? Angie, hey, are you sitting with us? Do you want coffee? I had to be like, I'm so sorry. I would love to. You know, like we finally made it. But my boy needs me. And we got to watch Frosty the Snowman together 3 times. And that's my plan for tonight. And so I'm complaining, but I'm actually incredibly honored because he's also like really like reserved and very timid. And so like if he chooses you, that's like a privilege on its own. And then you put on the additional layer of the fact that he's a Taurus so that like once he chooses you, he's loyal, he's ride or die. Immense honor. He didn't get me anything for Christmas except for this, and this is more than enough. My knitting update is that yesterday on Christmas Day, I was able to knit a lot because I don't necessarily celebrate Christmas Day. Like once Jesus is born on midnight, Christmas Day doesn't even matter anymore. So I did like drive around, went to see some family that I didn't see the night before. But otherwise, I was hanging out at home and we made it to hour 8. We knit for about 3 hours yesterday, which means we watched a lot of episodes of Gilmore Girls. I think we're on season 3 now. We started watching Heated Rivalry kind of late to the party. Like, in fact, I think the party ended this week, but I'm still showing up with chips and dip and I'm hoping someone lets me in because it's a really good show. While doing all of that, we did make some progress on the Ringo top, which felt good, but also like felt a little disheartening in terms of like progress being shown in this vlog, just because like the yarn is so thin, the work takes so long that like an hour of work amounts to about 15 rows, but 15 rows amounts to about like a 1.5 inches, so like you really can't see a difference. And so although I'm happy that I'm making progress on that top, I admit I was feeling fully discouraged, so I switched back to my scoodie and I did the full head part, and it's looking really good. And today I get to separate for the scarf. My only concern is that this yarn is a little thicker than the bulky yarn that I was using previously, and also has less like yardage in each ball. And so we're wrapping up the hood and we only have this much left. There's a piece of me that is concerned that I'm not gonna have enough yarn to make the full like medium sleeves. And by sleeve, I mean scarf, obviously. And that I'll have to buy another ball. And like, there's nothing wrong with buying another ball of yarn. It's really soft, it's really cute, it's really squishy. But if I could avoid buying another ball of yarn for like this much of a scarf, I would really appreciate that. I didn't take any B-roll footage yesterday. That is because yesterday I did exactly two things. I shoveled my car out of 8 inches of snow, and I knit. And I knit. And I knit. We have reached a total of 13 hours of knitting, and that was only possible because I knit for almost 5 hours yesterday. And in those 5 hours, not only did we finish our second scoodie, but we finished Heated Rivalry, and it was really good. Like, who knew a show that was getting this much hype was gonna like actually fucking deliver? The last 2 episodes made me cry a little bit, just a teeny tiny teensy winty bit. I did also read the book prior to watching the show, and now I'm like, do I read the rest of the series? Do I really care about any of the other characters except for Shane and Ilya? Not really. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as TV and media goes. But what I am here to tell you is that in those 5 hours, not only did I finish that show, but I also finished my second scoodie. I was able to knit both scarves of the blue scoodie. I can't show you it right now because it's blocking, but here's a photo of it. Very cool. And I did in fact have enough yarn for the medium length, and I have a little bit of it left over. So I was freaking out for no reason. And then once I finished that scoodie, I started another one, because this pattern is so freaking addicting. Like, I cannot explain what Paula put into this pattern, but whatever she put into it, I'm just like, I gotta make another one of these guys. I need more of this in my life. I did this last night as well. This is gonna be my scoodie. I was feeling unsure about this yarn choice for me, but now that I see it like next to what I wear on a regular basis, I'm like, yeah, this matches me perfectly. And for this scoodie, I think I'm actually gonna switch it up a little bit, and instead of doing the medium length, I'm gonna do the short length. One, because the straps are arguably my least favorite part of the pattern. The reason I don't like the straps isn't at fault of the pattern itself, but more because of me. Because if you can turn your brain off for the hood, you can very much not turn your brain off for the straps. You have to keep track of increases and decreases and row count and measurements, and you're knitting some stitches twice over to make them thicker. It's just like a lot to keep track of. So I don't want to do that, and I want to make my life easier. So do I think I'm going to be able to finish another scoodie before this video ends? Absolutely. I feel like I could knock this out in one day. However, I also am aware and conscious of my like wrist health, and I will admit I did go to bed last night with like not soreness, but like some tension in my hands. Like I was definitely feeling something. It feels fine now, and I think if I give myself the morning like off from knitting, I could dabble in an hour or two in the afternoon. Maybe not all at once, but maybe like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Like I feel like I could indulge in that a little bit. But this morning, in order to keep away from my knitting and to not be tempted and to not indulge and to not potentially harm myself in the long term, we're going to Barnes & Noble. It's a distraction, it's a reason to get out of the house, and it is the last day of their like store-wide sale. And I'm not in the business of buying books at the moment. Like, I have so many that I need to get into. And full disclosure, I haven't been reading at all throughout the making of this video, so like these are truly just collecting dust at this point. But while I'm not in the market of getting a book, I am in the market of getting a calendar or two. And my friend told me that the sale also includes calendars, and in fact some calendars are actually 50% off today. We're gonna go for a drive, we're gonna see the sun, we're gonna buy a calendar perhaps, and if we're feeling real sexy, we might even be getting a hot chocolate. Then we'll be back here, and maybe we'll finish another scoodie. We're definitely finishing another scoodie. I'm so fucking obsessed with this pattern. I'm here for a quick haul, and before I started this haul, I was feeling a little bit like a phony because everything that I got at the Barnes & Noble store-wide sale was like bird related, and I was like, I've only gone birding twice. Like, who do I think I am? I'm not a real birder. And then I pulled into this other parking lot to get hot chocolate, and there's a shit ton of black vultures just like hanging around the houses here, and I just spent like 10 minutes watching them lurk. It's not even like they're doing anything, but like they are quite literally lurking, and it took me about 5 minutes to ID them because they're too large to be crows for sure, but they didn't have the red head to be turkey vultures, and so I had to go through my Merlin app to find out what they are. And if it's not obvious, I am still watching them. There's so many of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20. There's like 20 vultures. 21 vultures just hanging out. I don't know what that means. I mean, like, I know they eat like dumpster food, and so like it probably just means that there's a really good dumpster nearby, but like, you know how they say when like crows hang out outside of a home, it's like an omen that someone is gonna die. I wonder if there's something similar to vultures, because this feels somehow more ominous than a bunch of crows. I kind of want to get closer, but I'm scared of getting closer. I know they're not going to do anything to me, but they're like quite large. But I guess the real reason why I turned on the camera was to do a haul. Hello. And I only got 3 things, and none of them were books. This was like the fastest Barnes & Noble run in my entire life. And like I said, a lot of these things are bird related. My 2026 calendar are birds. I was torn between several different calendars, and I ultimately chose this one because I'm into birding now, obviously. But also, what ultimately made the decision for me was that the red-bellied woodpecker was the bird for February, and that's currently my favorite bird. And so that just felt like right to me. While I was there, I also came across this oracle deck that I've seen at the Barnes & Noble several times. It's like different birds. And every single time I saw it, I thought it was the cutest freaking thing. I love the art style. Here's another preview of the art. I just always talked myself out of it, but since it was 25% off today, I figured, why the heck not? Let's get into some birds. And then finally, I just got myself a notepad. I like this one because it's lined and it also has the little check marks. Usually I have to like draw those in myself, but like I just ran out of my current notepad, so I figured time to get a new one. And that's it. That's the haul. And I think we are feeling a little sexy. We are still gonna get the hot chocolate. But I think once I get my hot chocolate, I am gonna sit here for like another 5 minutes just to watch these birds. Because this is huge for me. Like, they are so freaking large. You have no idea. And it's so funny to me that I only got into birding semi-recently, but like ever since then, just walking around in like a town such as this one has been a thoroughly different experience now that I'm like more aware of birds. Whoa, that one just took a shit. And it is just like so cool. Like, I find myself like stopping in the middle of my errands just to like watch some birds. It's been really fun. Sorry that I'm not making eye contact in this clip at all. Sorry that I'm not being like super present, but this is just like so fascinating to me. I need to focus. We're gonna get hot chocolate and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna watch some more birds. I hope you don't mind the heater going off in the background. It's winter, and so this is like the consistent noise level of my apartment every second of every day. But we're gathered here today because I finished all my scoodies. And by all, I mean like of the yarn that I currently had present. I have one last scoodie on the roster, and I think I actually got the yarn last night. I came home to a big box with my name on it. The return address is something that I'm not familiar with, but like the only thing that I have ordered in the very recent past was this yarn, so I can only assume. Should we open this on camera? Like if it's like a dead animal, I guess that could be content. Hold on. All it says here is Frank Lorenzo, and I don't know a Frank. That's so weird that it has like a human name and not just like Wool and the Gang on the label. Maybe Mr. Wool and Miss the Gang's name is actually Frank Lorenzo. Might as well show you the yarn options that we have here. I did get some yarn for myself as well because, like, of course I did. But this pink and red number is going to be my friend's scoodie. We're going to do like an alternating stripe thing. We're not going to do it here. This vlog is over, but I'm just letting you know we're doing some color work. We're doing some striping. And then I also wanted to do some striping for myself. And so we're going to do brown, cream, and then this green color. Because, like, weirdly enough, I don't really like wearing greens, but one of my favorite types of green is a lime green, as evidenced by what I'm wearing now. So I think I'm gonna do this as a scoodie for myself. And then I also got this purple yarn because I want to make the sailor slippers and I didn't have enough purple yarn for the slipper. So now I do. But to finish off this vlog, in 1 week we knit for about 17 hours. On Sunday we knit for about 2.5 hours, and that's when we did the head of my scoodie. And then yesterday we knit for another 2-ish hours where we did the legs. And I don't remember if I modeled the red scoodie for you, but this is exactly the same as the red scoodie. This is the blue scoodie that I'm sending to my friend that I might be sending out today if I have free time. Very cool. And then, as I mentioned, I made a short length for myself, and the reason for that is because every single time I try on a medium length, I try to like loosen myself up here and I get all strangled and tangled. Needed a smaller length scarf for myself because I really don't like wearing scarves. This is in the short length and it's actually still a little damp, and so it feels and smells a touch disgusting to have so close to my face. But for you, I will do this. And so I think for when I work on this scoodie for myself, I might also make it the short length. However, having so much yarn at hand for this scoodie could actually mean that I could get a little crazy and I could do the longest length. Would I actually use it if I had the longest length? I don't know. All signs point to no. But for aesthetic reasons, I am willing to give it a shot. Not in this vlog. This vlog is over, but we're still in the scoodie game. We're still thinking about them. The scoodie has consumed my mind, body, and soul. And so I will still be making scoodies off camera, trust me. I just need to like do other things too. I have dedicated so much time and energy to just scoodies for the last week that like I need to read a book. I need to do something. I need to like give my hands a break as well. And so that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day. I hope all of your projects are going well, and I will see you in the next one.